Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020, where currently we are all tied up between DRX and Afreeca, as most people would expect from the inconsistency that DRX have displayed. They crush game ones, and then they get crushed in game twos. It's just what happens.
And I really do think that they were set up for failure in game two, even though there are matchups that if they do get ahead, they can snowball out of control, but Afreeca, with a much more stable team composition, even though they did, again, I said it at the very end of the post-game of game number 2, they drafted it face up. It went completely unpunished, as most drafts don't get punished here in the LCK. But DRX, they're going to be back on the blue side now, so we'll see what they can manage to clinch for their first pick. We're going to take a look at who is going to be player of the game. It is going to be All In.
Yep, All In had a fantastic performance, honestly. 6-0-4, 100% kill contribution at 15 minutes is really indicative of just how influential he was around the map. Able to get up towards the top side, able to control the mid lane to the point where Chovy couldn't get anything done. And this was an example of All In playing very well, but also a demonstration of Doran really not knowing what's going on in this game so far. The Aurelia pick felt incredibly uncomfortable for this guy. Yeah.
He seemed extremely off on the champion pick. And really, I think that if LeBlanc wasn't the champion choice that ended up being picked, we could have just seen the pick pivoted over to Chovy if it would have been necessary.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though, 6-0-4 on the Galio pick. He was a contributing factor into the top lane snowball, or loss of control, for DRX. Take a look at how the votes are. It's going to be unanimous. 9 out of 9.
Nice. We are on the same page with the Korean commentary team and the observers. So congratulations to everyone making the right choice. But it was pretty obvious this time around. It wasn't a very difficult decision to make. So we'll just have to see who's going to get it in game number 3. And whether it's going to be on the side of DRX or Afreeca. Because I think what you were mentioning as far as the draft being on the blue side now certainly has been the more comfortable side for DRX. And so I think even though Afreeca move in with momentum, I don't know whether it's going to be enough to overcome what is going to be a side selection that benefits DRX and their drafting style. There is only time will tell, LS.
Well, take a look at what the first ban is going to be. 4 seconds remaining.
Last time it was the Elise, and it is going to be the same thing again as the Zoe. Yeah, banned away here. I didn't actually check Doran's solo queue before the last game, but so far this week he is 0-4 on the Aurelia, so maybe not the pick that he really wanted to go towards. He's been spamming a lot of Jace, actually. But oh well. Weird and wonderful things happen as the Kalista and the Elise both banned away. Zoe, of course, removed from Chovy as Afreeca think about whether the Aphelios is worth a ban. I have a feeling that they might answer with yes, as our Set is going to leave the bench, leave the Rift first. And DRX will always first pick Aphelios, so Afreeca might be able to do that to get themselves a beneficial second couple of picks here in this draft. We'll see whether they do play around with something like that, but it is dangerous as the Aphelios is still so strong, even if he has copped a few nerfs, moving up towards 10.6 and beyond. 3 seconds to go now as we see the final ban. It is going to be the Jace taken away. So Keen is going to have to mix up who he's going to be playing.
Well, I am sure that he is very unhappy about that, which it's so surprising given that you can just pick the Ornn into it and neutralize it. And you know, a champion pick that we haven't seen, but it is still viable into the Jace is Yorick. So
Yorick?
Yeah, Yorick is, I mean, we mentioned in game number 1, Yorick and Ornn were the 2 Jace counters way back in the day.
Well, Aphelios is left up.
Yeah.
And so DRX are going to pick it, and we'll be able to see exactly what Afreeca's plan is to mitigate it. Oh, no. Varus priority very, very high here for DRX. And so they're going to give over the Aphelios to Afreeca. Potentially. Unless Afreeca don't think that the matchup into Varus is good enough and may therefore decide not to. Because, of course, you make yourself very vulnerable to things like the chains of corruption. Unless you pair the Aphelios with something like a Tarmkench or a Thresh. First cab off the rank is looking to be this Ornn, as it is going to be locked away, and now Spirit thinking about what he wants to lock in. I'd imagine that Aphelios would be a decent decision to make here, but they don't have to, as they probably assume that Varus is going to go into the hands of Deft.
Yeah, I would imagine that as well. Ornn is picked up. Will they maybe just MF or something? No, they're going to hover the Jarvan. So Afreeca picking that up for themselves right now. DRX passed back over to them.
Yeah, and we could lock in Olaf Yuumi here or something if DRX would like to, but I don't know whether I really like Yuumi compositions so much, especially against so many tanks and CC that Afreeca do have available to them right now. DRX with still a lot of options on the table, but Olaf does seem to come to mind as the choice that Pyosik is likely to take, and he is going to lock that one away. And now where do they go? I would assume a support will be locked in. What it's going to be is going to be the big question, though. There's 17 seconds on the clock. We'll see where Keria does want to go, or where Chovy wants to go. Silas thinking about being locked in as that counterpick option into the Ornn. Understanding that it most likely will be banned away. The support pool still relatively open, and Keria's champion pool gigantic at the moment. I don't mind this as being the option, and we'll see whether Doran can actually outclass Keen in this matchup that I know you are pretty skeptical of, LS, as far as being a true counter or not.
Yeah, well, the Jarvan does lock up the Olaf pretty effectively. Obviously, Olaf is able to power farm around the map, and Pyosik really good at playing Diablo, playing World of Warcraft here on DRX.
Yeah,
as he moves around the map, endlessly farms and waits for something I don't even
wants
know,
to
like
get down the
raid.
levels of the chapel. You know, you got to get down the levels, clear out all of the monsters, and make sure that it's all safe and cozy. I completely understand that, LS. I think that's a very good point to bring up. As Keria is going to have his Thresh targeted away from him. I imagine Thresh Morgana might actually be some decent bans to come in. I think the Morgana Varus was very strong out of DRX. And if it is going to be once again Jelly heading towards a Nautilus, which is likely, then the Morgana value does go up.
What I would really like to see here is R4 Mage in mid lane, or another R4 dual flex, so that you have the option to put Ornn in mid or in top lane, and then reserve the counter pick for the support so that they can get some real value. If they do something again, like pick Nautilus here, or they picked some melee support champion, I'm gonna be a little upset.
I think Rumble
maybe
Anibia
is on the table again, or Rumble could be on the table as well.
I think that Rumble sort of stands out in my mind because of the pairing with the Jarvan that's so strong. 2 seconds to go, though, and they are going to do the LCK special, which is lock away the Nautilus, leave mid or top for counterpick, but Rumble would have been better. That's what I'm saying anyway.
Here we
because
go.
Now Morgana is so easy, right? Like, this is obvious. 100% obvious. I was expecting Afreeca to ban it. They banned the Azir instead. And now, if we pick a flexible champion in mid or top, then Chovy and Doran can switch around as they see fit. Which I don't think is too bad either. We're expecting the Silas to go top lane, of course, as now having a look to see what the choice is going to be. And Aatrox is locked in. So, of course, Chovy was one of our better Aatrox mid lane players. If you remember back to the 2018 final, his Aatrox was actually fantastic. Summer final, that was. So, still very flexible here in this draft, but we are absolutely sinning. You are 100% correct.
Yeah, I mean, the Aatrox coming in this team composition, knowing full well that it is a little bit rough for Aatrox to conduct itself against Afreeca's team composition, although there is some things enabling it, like the Jarvan and the Nautilus, but it's not the kind of champion that you would need. And interestingly enough, Galio ended up being picked last. That could mean that we do actually see Aatrox in the mid lane, and as you mentioned, Atlas, they were sinning, and the Aatrox has the option to pivot mid and send the Silas top against that Ornn, because I originally think it was picked with the intention to go up against Ornn in the top lane, and that it was just something that was comfort for Doran, because this pick was born, baptized, and confirmed in hell, and DRX, they were willing to sin with it, but Afreeca rewarding them in one of the most bizarre ways, because like you were mentioning about Chovy, with the Aatrox pick, he does have the ability to pick it, and Aatrox is actually one of the good champions against Galio, even when Galio used to be a premier pick.
Yeah, I think that was why Aatrox was so popular back in 2018. That was the rise of the Galio in mid lane, and Aatrox just recently getting off the rework bench and being thrown into basically wherever he could be played. So I think you're exactly right. I think this should be absolutely fine for Chovy in the mid lane. Also, I mean, is Galio worth itemizing against is going to be the other question, because the amount of physical damage on this team, I guess Ornn does magic damage, things like that, but there's only sort of byproduct magic damage coming down, and this is a game that's all about misfortune and how much Mystic can get done. And if they shut her down, there's not going to be a lot of damage available here for Afreeca unless All In can get as ahead as he was in game number 1. So DRX, I think, with a much better draft this time around. Let's see whether Afreeca can fight against it in game number 3.
Well, that is going to be the green skin here on. Okay, well, we have a bit of action starting this game off.
And we'll see whether Pyosik is going to walk right into it. You can see, understanding that just maybe there might be a little bit of attention as Dredgeline's going to go wide, and that will mean that Pyosik survives. So, bit of a whoopsie there from Jelly, but good sidestep from Pyosik, even if it was from the dark, as he looks to try and fight this one back again. Good undertow going to land there onto Mystic, as Deft gets into position, and he is also once again heading towards lethality Varus. So if you're looking at DRX to start early Barons, don't, because they don't have very much Baron damage with this particular composition.
Now, the thing about DRX with their team comp is they're heavily reliant on getting to Dragon Soul. They also have double Scorch again down there in the bot lane. It's going to be the lethality Varus as a means to try to mitigate some of the problems that the DRX team composition has. And what I mean by that is that they're basically all extremely short range. They're all melee champions, depending on how you look at it. And this could prove to be problematic. Afreeca, they have the much better scaling draft yet again, but this one is definitely a lot more dicey. There's more brawl on the side of DRX this time around. They're not reliant on Chovy to somehow pull off a miracle play on a LeBlanc or something in order to get the ball rolling. And so this is much more even in terms of draft power than game number 2. And so I think that should be good news for DRX or bad news if you're an Afreeca fan.
Yeah, as Jelly going to move on over here. Deft and Mystic just fighting it out though. Really nice hail of arrows just to make sure that Deft is going to win out on that trade. But stacking damage up, and you can see Spirit already making his way in. There's the flash forward. Good flash from Deft to avoid death. But that's heal and double flash now out from DragonX.
So a bit of a different tune here down in bot lane to start this third game off. Mystic is extremely low, does not have teleport available. He has to be really careful against the lethality Varus, because remember, Deft, he also has teleport. So they're going to bring down Spirit right away. He has one camp, Spirit, by the way.
Yeah,
so
this is real dicey. Yeah. He has to get this kill, otherwise it's just Dunzo, and Mystic is almost dead already. This Mystic is so bad for multiple reasons for Afreeca.
Yeah, they didn't actually get the clean crash off, and I can't tell what Deft's doing, but I think he's trying to freeze. And that should be what he would want to do right now, because Mystic and Jelly failed to get the cheater recall off. Even though he did get 16 out of 19 farm, Spirit goes back into his blue side jungle, clears out some of the minions, but really, I mean, this is Lucifer Morningstar in the flesh here, as very low on camp score. The Olaf just sort of power farming to victory. You can see Chovy is actually playing center lane, and that is really dangerous. You can see the Jarvan on the right-hand side. Now you see Chovy. He moves to the left-hand side. He's doing this to match the mirror, or the movement from the Olaf. We got a game.
Yeah, Pyosik is in here. This was actually designed by Chovy. Fantastic little highlight play as Spirit's going to go down. Pyosik flashing after All In, but double buffs now over to this Galio, and Chovy has none of them. Mystic actually roaming up here because of that freeze on the bottom side of the map. He had nowhere else to be, so he may as well get a clean shove here in mid.
And they come mid, they help Galio out with the shove, and now Deft and Carrier, they're piling up a lot of minions. They're going to try to get this crash off, and then with the teleport available, Deft is able to actually come back to the lane and then maybe even utilize the surplus of minions as a means to sort of poke the MF and the Nautilus down in bot lane. And also, that surplus of minions, it makes it so that Jelly and Mystic can't actually trade. Even if Deft is missing some of the HP, they're not going to have the damage to kill him. And then all those minions would act as so much buffer and essentially extra spell casts in terms of the amount of damage that they would dish out. Doran doing pretty okay up here in top lane, and by okay I mean the lane is on fire. Because Keen is sitting pretty right now. He's up quite a lot in the CS department. And he's also maxing the Q here against the Sylas. And that's something that you can do to sort of poke him out. You don't let Sylas sustain up through you. So take a look at this replay. Chovy, he moved onto the left-hand pocket of, or left-hand side of the lane because it mirrors the Olaf's movement. You want to be there in order to avoid the gank. Now, the setup for all of this was really clean. You can see Chovy wasn't the one that wanted to flash with the third Q. Pyosik going a little bit greedy for no reason. If he just doesn't follow up with the flash there, he moves into the Raptor camp, counter jungles it, falls back, gets the Scuttle Crab, and then transitions into his blue side jungle. Full clears, pass to the bot-hand side of the map as Deft and Kyria get the crash, and then start pulling the wave. So then Olaf's in close proximity. Everything works out really well, and you basically have map hacks on the Jarvan. But little bit of lost opportunity as Pyosik will return to playing. World of Warcraft and Shadowlands will be coming out.
Yeah, which looks pretty good. I'm actually I'm a bit excited about the old Shadowlands. As Keen's excited as well. He's looking to try and kill Doran. Is going to be able to deny a fair bit of the knockback, but the flash still has to come down in a 1v1, which is hella bad news for our friend Doran. And speaking of bad news, Jelly has also found Pyosik here. Gets a smite off onto the Drake. Spirit in trouble as Chovy will land the chains. Looking to try and answer it. Does manage to pick up the 1-for-1 on these junglers. As now the Drake's getting angry, but is just going to go back to sleep here as Mystic might just get zoned out of his lane completely and might have to take the long way around. And it looks like he is going to have to do that.
He is taking the long way around. Sweeper lens and nice binding, as well as the Tormented Soil there by the Morgana. Does put out a little bit of damage. As let's take a look at this one more time. Pyosik looking like he actually wanted to start up the Cloud Dragon. He turns onto Spirit immediately. The Black Shield coming in as well for all the magic damage that is able to dish out. And he smited the Cloud Dragon to get a little bit of extra HP. Chovy, with some acrobatics, does manage to get the kill while in the air. Warhammer is picked up on him in mid lane. Seeker's Arm Guard on the Galio has already been built. Really effective against that Olaf as well as the Aatrox.
What do you think about Keen picking up a Executioner's Calling instead of a Bramble Vest?
Yeah, that
I
is...
actually quite like it. You know, it's cheaper, and you're against a magic dealer, so you don't really want to be building armor. What do you reckon?
I can
understand the thought process. I don't think it's necessarily good, but I understand why he did it, and I like that part.
So, Ornn's Q inflicts grievous wounds, because Ornn's Q is physical damage. And so, if you're trying to poke the Sylas with the Q constantly, you're reducing his base healing as well, depending on when he activates his Corrupting Potion, because I believe he has Time War Tonic, right?
I believe so.
As his rune. So, you could hit some of that, I believe. I might be caster coach, by the way, and completely wrong here. But it's a weird investment. It's a very big money sink. I mean, Ornn does have an AD ratio on his Q, so it's not like he's not getting any scaling in that regard. I mean, he does auto attack as well, quite a bit. But all his other abilities deal magic, so not super sure. It's definitely going to scale a lot worse than Bramble Vest, but for the early laning phase, perhaps it actually is better. I'm saying interesting, and I'm not being sarcastic.
The bottom side is Piercing Arrow is going to land. Jelly gets himself out of the way. Chovy just buying the time of Spirit and all in. Good knockups come down as now they're turning it onto Spirit. He has to flash as Chovy doesn't flash after him. He's been holding on to that one for a long time, actually. A lot of opportunities to flash aggressively and deciding not to, wanting to keep his lane in a position that he wants it in. As DRX do have a slight gold advantage, and that's based on a lot of lanes doing much better than their opposition. Also the jungle being still well and truly in favor of Pyosik on this Olaf. As Deft fighting off against Mystic and Jelly here. Jelly in position. Oh, the Black Shield is fantastic. There's the flash forward. No Soul Shackles available as Jelly should be going down as Undertow flies in. Mystic will be falling down next as All-In has to flash to get himself out of the way. A double kill for Pyosik, as now it might actually be a triple as the piercing arrow is very good and the stopwatch has to be utilized. So All-In is going to survive this one, but has to use everything in order to escape.
Yeah, this just gives Chovy and mid so much freedom. You can see he's trying to utilize the crash on mid to move over to the left-hand side, apply fog and war pressure over to Keen, who's moving down and seemingly...
picks up a turret plate in trade for his life.
Worth.
Yeah.
Or
call it
hashtag worth,
in
sorry.
all check.
Misspoke.
In all check. Gonna grab that one as back comes in, and Spirit's gonna clear out some minions here as Kane's just building some stuff. And Doran's going to go back. He's looking to try and build himself his revolver if he can find it, but realizes that things aren't necessarily working as Carrier flashes to get a point-blank binding. And it did allow for a lot of damage onto Jelly.
He flashes to get the point-blank binding. The Black Shield did come out invalidating the CC chain that Afreeca was going for there. And like you pointed out, All-In, he did come down there. He invested absolutely everything to try to make this work. And the thing that makes me so uncomfortable about this is Spirit's making the decision to path down to bot lane before Deft actually elects to stay. He said, I'm baiting him, I'm baiting him, I'm baiting him, I'm baiting him. So, he said, good job. So what All-In was basically trying to say is, like, let's look for this. I'll try to bait him, and obviously what he's referring to is I'll try to make him think that a Varus arrow can kill me. And that's why he's keeping them there. But again, this is accounting for a mistake before it happens. So it ends up panning out really well for Afreeca. But like you pointed out, Atlas, the only thing that he's actually trying to achieve there, assuming that All-In has hands and can move his champion, is most likely to get the turret plate. So
yeah. And did manage to do that. Exactly. He managed to do that, so we're going to give it the worth column, as 1.1 thousand gold is going to be the lead here for DRX. They're going to move up, look to take down this Rift Herald. As you can see, once again, the answer is going to be just trying to get as many plates as possible on the bottom side. Chovy pushing in onto All-In, Spirit looking to try and take this Cloud Drake. And DRX probably going to be pretty happy with Afreeca just locking down the one useless Drake of this game. As Deft and Carry actually move back towards the bottom lane. They understand that it should be Pyosik being able to take down Shelly by himself. And the only sacrifice that they're going to make is a Cloud Drake. So it's all worth. They had full vision of what was going on there, so no worries at all as All-In. He's on the wrong side of the lane, but he's not in any threat of danger. As Carrier does not find the binding. All-In moving on back and isn't able to take down that control ward as multiple backs coming in here for our mid laners. Deft is Ghostblade just going to pop it, just trying to get out of there. And Mystic going to come and try and pilfer this plate away.
Well, it's going to be Zhonya's Hourglass, first item for the Galio. Not the best item to pick up super early, although Pyosik coming top lane, he's getting a flash out of Ornn.
And might actually be able to give a whole lot of money over to Doran here as well, as Jelly moves over onto Vision. Spirit is in the area as well, as they're trying to clear out this minion wave as quickly as possible. They should be able to, as the depth charge comes in. Bullet time goes down as well. The Carrier goes golden. There's the Cataclysm. Depth doesn't have flash, remember. But Spirit was taking up that turret for so damn long. The Ornhorn comes on back as the depth charge was picked up by Doran, but I don't think they're going to be able to get anything done. There are still enough stopwatches to keep everyone alive, as Keen very close to falling is now Chovy looking to try and get back here. That was actually really intelligent out of All-In to deny any assist going over to Chovy, as Pyosik up here towards the top side, I believe, threw down Shelly and then proceeded to continue pushing forward.
Yeah, and he's continuing to get solo lane farm and XP right now. Not going to actually stay for any chip damage. He doesn't shred that turret all that fast. We'll take a look at what transpired down here. down in the bot lane. So they know that they're about to get dived. They couldn't clear out the entire minion wave in time. Teleport comes in onto the minion. Keria does go golden, EQ Cataclysm, and Deft really far over on the right-hand side, so not keeping the turret aggro. Doran's teleport was extremely late in this situation, because all that he was doing is Keen wasn't even in close proximity in top lane, and they knew that the dive was about to happen. And like you pointed out, Chovy did not get an assist, so no reset on the World Ender to really do anything. He didn't have flash regardless, but as it comes back into live, it's a 3,000 gold lead, even at the end of this, in favor of DRX. Olaf already has Warmogs. I don't think he has the passive, though. I don't
Not quite yet.
believe.
I think he
not,
needs...
Not yet. He needs more base levels.
Yeah, needs to hit a level 11 approximately, I think was the break point. I think I did my calculations on the health per level of a Sejuani when I was originally doing this, which was a very long time ago, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think it needs to be around double digits. As Chovy in this mid lane, able to shove that wave forward, and Keen and All In are going to deal with these minions by themselves. Sorry, Chovy was in the bottom lane. It was Deft that shoved that one up. I tell a lie. As DRX, 2 minutes time until this Infernal Drake, and I think this is one that they're going to fight over, and now they're in a good position to do so. Chovy going to find Mystic, who is going to have to flash, and Chovy not going to flash after him. I believe his flash is almost something that he hasn't even needed to worry about, as Chovy does get the knock-up to interrupt the bullet time. Good night, Mystic, as Chovy happy to tank up the turret for about as long as he could possibly want.
Yep. And at this point, Afreeca are not really in a very comfortable position in this game. Minute and a half until that Infernal does end up coming onto the Rift. Chovy just trying to get this bot tier 1 turret, and not a whole lot really happening at this point. And when you're Afreeca's team composition, if you're not in the driver's seat, you're always waiting for the opponents to come into you. But as we mentioned earlier on, there's always the option of letting the dragon speak for you. Deft flashing away.
That's exactly where he needed to flash. Really nice stuff there as Doran going to go in again, actually, on top of Jelly. Does get his Aftershock and manages to get out. Ooh. As Piercing Arrow does a lot of damage. I don't know whether that... Oh, no, not quite the empowered one. If that was an empowered Q, that would have been a dead Nautilus, but unfortunately didn't quite have it available just in time. As Piercing picks up the turret aggro somehow. And Mystic and Keen doing their best to try and deal with this one. Undertows come down. The poke damage is certainly there, as the reckless swing will deter Keen from staying in the defense for too much longer. Chovy going to go back to base. We'll see how close he is to his death's dance, and just an Aegis of the Legion to come in to give him that extra tankiness. As Doran moves back topside, does have a heroic entrance available, but he's not going to be able to put that one off cooldown before it just dissipates naturally, because there's no one in the area in order to lock that one down. But this is a much better showing here from Doran this time around, despite the fact that he is 20 CS behind. He's only died once this time, and he has a couple of assists.
Yep, he has a couple of assists underneath his belt, indeed, Atlas is.
Yeah.
Even though he did lose laning phase again, it's not as problematic as in game number 2 on the Aurelia, especially because his champion has a lot more relevance in this game, just from a sheer utility standpoint. As okay, here we go.
Yeah, that's a big flash in there from Jelly. Black Shield utilized there as Soul Shackle's not going to actually get any stuns, but Arg is going to be effective, as Pioshik just going to have to stand in there and take it. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but Spirit immediately just evaporated in amongst this team fight, as Doran doesn't have a stopwatch or anything like that. Chovy looking to dive on top of Mystic, who has no mana, no flash, no way out. And one more auto attack will do it. Keen in trouble as Keria looking for it. He's about 150 health as Chovy just going to make a little bit of a detour for an on, and will be able to pick up that kill with the help of Deft there, as All In underneath the turret looking to try and keep this one alive. But it looks like the Dragon should go over to DragonX.
Yep,
as Piercing Arrow not going to find the mark.
Yeah, Piercing Arrow does not find the mark indeed, as they're not actually picking up the Drake immediately. And I don't know what the reason is for that. Are they gonna reset? Darvin not actually running towards the dragon. I think that Afreeca thinks that well, no, because Chovy was showing on them anyway. I have no idea what the hell's going on, Atlas. As we take a look at what's happening here. Jelly goes over the wall. Black Shield does come out. Keria manages to get to safety. His bindings and Tormented Soil have really been on point. Doran goes back in, tries to get the kill onto the Darvin, ends up committing himself. and not able to do all that much. Chovy does miss one of the Qs onto Mystic, doesn't really matter. In the end, still able to bring him down, get his heal to boot. Not able to pick up the kill onto All In. Comes over onto the right-hand side, looking for a kill onto Keen, but Def does end up picking up for himself. As we come back into live, Infernal Dragon is still up, and
it's there. He's a stealth mission. Stealth mission, Infernal Drake. Oh, here we go.
All right, here we go. Fantastic.
The Viking has found it, as Deft is going to help out. He's Lethality Varus, not doing fantastic damage to these neutral objectives, but it is going to be enough to help the Olaf take that one down. And we're going to have a Mountain Soul this game. Tower also falling on the bottom side as the lead for DragonX is going to continue. 5,000 gold is the lead here at 20 minutes, as we're going to set up all of the extra rocks here around this rift. And Carriot moves into this lane to help shove this one out. Deft in position as well, but I believe DRX are aware of the fact that there might be just a surround of Afreeca members in this area. And Pioshik, with a lot of vision control, is able to just wander through the enemy jungle and keep things okay. Spirit looking to try and take down this Rift Scuttler, as Cataclysm now available for Doran. As Jelly moving on over here as now Doran dives on in. Chovy is just going to destroy Mystic. Yeah, he was wandering in mid lane, LS. That's what he was doing. Take it away.
He was caught. Well, thank you, Atlas. As the turret does fall here in mid, back to you. Take it away.
Thanks, brother. I was just taking a sip of my water. You told me to take it away a little bit too early. 6,000 gold is the lead as that turret does fall down. The Baron's been alive for 20 seconds so far this game. Probably going to be alive for a lot longer as well, as both of these teams not with the greatest of Baron taking abilities. English language, very difficult. As Jelly's going to get himself out of this jungle, looking for a reset, doesn't have any wards remaining, and will be able to replenish all of those. As yeah, Mystic, he wanted an auto attack on an Olaf.
I really wish I had an answer for you. He didn't even have the flash up, so I don't know why he's going that far forward. And also, Olaf has warm-ups. So even if you end up hitting him there, he's just going to walk off, go out of combat for a little bit, and then regen all the HP. So Mystic, I'm not really sure. We talk about, you know, he had the Super Saiyan hair earlier on into the split. Mystic reminds me of Mystic Gohan, and Gohan, he falls off.
He definitely does fall off. You know, Cell Saga was a beautiful time. I was ready to call Gohan my favorite character. He stopped being my favorite character after that. You know, I think the World Tournament was cool, right?
Yeah.
You know, when after the time skip,
yes.
and then you were like, you were ready for him as the great Saiyan man to like actually get cool, and then he just never did.
He never did.
It was very disappointing.
Yep. And then he got married, right, to Pan.
Yeah, and that was really cute. But it's like, come on, man, you can still be cool and join in the fights for the world.
His daughter, and it's Videl that he married.
Videl was that's his wife, right?
Okay, Videl's his wife.
Yeah,
okay,
I think
perfect.
I think the collective could let us know.
Yeah, the collective did just confirm that they are omnipotent. So
Pan's his daughter, so he didn't get married to her. That would have been weird.
Do you know when the Big Bang occurred?
The Big Bang?
Yeah.
Quite a few billion years ago.
Okay, well, there's a big fight here.
Yeah, that's a bit of a Big Bang. As Spirit getting down very, very low. Reckless Swing going to come down here. Now it's a really good taunt. The Carrier keeps himself alive with a stopwatch. Chovy bouncing around in amongst this fight. Good bullet time. But I just think they're too far behind to get anything done. And it is going to be a dead Spirit. Everybody else keeps themselves alive, but priority remains in DRX's hands here in this lane. Bellow's Breath comes in as we're going to have the Ornhorn stolen away and used immediately as Chovy's looking for Keen. The Ram does not find Mystic, and DRX do open up this mid lane and take down the turret.
Yeah. They end up raising it, minute and a half until the Mountain Dragon is going to end up coming up, and that's not really that bad of a Drake for them, given that the Galio, he only has one pen item right now, that's the Sork Pen Boots. He has all basically epic items in his inventory, not packing an insane punch as it currently stands. And let's take a look at this. So Spirit, all too eager to meet the true death here, goes in, uses the Galio follow-up, and honestly, this is not Season 7. This is not Jarvan Galio Season 7, not quite as scary. Chovy gets in here, unable to find a kill. Really close call. However, as now we're going to go back into live, 45 seconds until the Mountain Dragon is going to come up. Lord Dominix was picked up on Deft, So he's valuing the extra little bit of armor penetration rather than the Grievous Wounds passive.
Yeah, which you could understand. There's not a lot of regen available here on Afreeca's side, so I like it. I like the pivot. Did need to get a bit of that armor pen just to make sure that he can keep that lethality as relevant as possible against the burly boys in the front line in the Ornn and the Jarvan. All in as well with a bit of armor himself with his Zhonya's Hourglass Rush that he had to be utilizing. And that was all, guys, based on the fact that he had to use his stopwatch so early on the bottom side of the map. Otherwise, you could imagine that the Protobelt would have come in first, which would have been far more beneficial. Of course, Protobelt as an item falls off as the game continues. And so is going to build it, but very late and outside of its real time of relevance. Is now Mountain Drake going to be taken here by DragonX, and Chovy just happily standing up, tanking these minions, and with absolutely no threat from Afreeca. He is a huge Aatrox this game. 20 CS, 30 CS ahead of the clock at this point in time, and ahead of everybody else on the map by about 50.
Yeah, I mean, he's just really, really far ahead at this point in the game. He's going to pick up that dragon for himself. He's going to get, I believe, 12 armor from it, is the Olaf. Chovy, I think he had 131 armor, so that would give him almost 8. Not quite 8, but almost 8.
Yeah, not bad.
And not quite a cloth armor, but also we still have a lot of time left in the game. He's still a couple levels left in him. He will pick up Guardian Angel later down the road, and there's more Mountain Dragons to come. So, extra little resistances. Ornaments haven't come in yet, but even when they do, they're only coming in on 2 champions. So it's going to be the MF and the Galio, not the best ornaments either.
No. I mean, Molten Edge is fantastic. That's a real good one. But you're exactly right. Anything else not super great, as Spirit's going to come through, clean out this ward, and get knocked up by Chovy. Does flag and drag to try and get himself out of the way, but that will mean the inner turret is also going to fall. And Chovy with a Black Shield is a very, very scary prospect, because not being able to slow down the Aatrox is something that Afreeca are going to be very scared of. And as you can see, relegated to being inside their base right now with the mid lane of Afreeca trying to face off against Doran topside in order to protect this inner turret as well. But it is just a snowball rolling very quickly down a hill here for DragonX, who are moving towards a 10,000 gold lead once again here in this game. It is night and day between game 1 to game 2, and then game 2 to game 3.
Yep. Just totally different games are able to take place. Afreeca, they can't just sort of sit back and let things just gradually scale this time around. And they failed to get any meaningful advantages here in this game. And Edge of Night now complete on the Varus. Spirit Visage for the Aatrox has also been picked up. That is quite nice. There is enormous amounts of magic damage on the opponent's team. And then the extra little bit of healing is also going to be beneficial as well. 3 minutes until Mountain. And DRX, they might just take it really slow and steady until that ends up coming up. Yeah, there's no reason to. They don't have the fastest Baron taking potential either, because Varus is the lethality Varus. Then they have the Olaf, they have Sylas, you have Aatrox, and Morgana, she has Redemption coming in as her next item, but Afreeca are just so far behind right now. It's almost 10,000 gold, and if you factor in the little bit of extra gold from the Mountain and the Infernal, it certainly is.
Yeah, and my question is, can Chovy pick up player of the game? Because I think he's been playing very, very well, but as has Keria this game yet again. So just have to see how the rest of this game goes, see whether Chovy can pull himself ahead of the pack of the 3 people with their 1,000 points. Yes, mate?
I need you to shill with me.
Oh, yeah. I'll do it. Don't worry. It's all about Chovy. I've already voted. Have a look at the chat. Because Chovy's over the wall. He's going to get blocked, though. May actually have to flash finally this game. Does so, but unable to get out as there's a fantastic ultimate come through from Doran. Spirit off to the side. Heroic entrances everywhere. But Doran, I don't think he'll have the Kingslayer back available. Doesn't get enough health back. And Afreeca have stolen a team fight from DRX. But it wasn't Chovy's fault.
Slow down.
Am I doing it? Am I doing it?
You need to just get a voice. You just need to get a voice modifier to sound like me, and people will totally believe it.
I do actually have a voice modifier. Do you want me to try and set it to sound like you a little bit more?
Perfect.
I don't know whether I can get the right accent, as Pyosik not going to be able to find the undertow. Good flash from Jelly. Gets himself to safety. I might need to turn the reverb down a bit.
Honestly, I mean, the only reason that Jelly lived there wasn't Chovy's fault either.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
We take a look at...
That was too high-pitched. I apologize.
Yeah, that was something. As he did get pinned up against the wall, not quite able to make it onto the other side. Ended up dying. Cataclysm comes out, and like you mentioned, DRX, they just bit off a little bit more than they could chew at this point in the game. A little bit rough for them here. And they're just going to have to back off a little bit, be a little bit more patient. 30 seconds until the next mountain. They want to pick that up, bring the game to Soul Point.
And give themselves the extra tankiness as well.
Yes.
I think it's actually going to help out in these team fights with the fact that they do have a lot of tanks and pseudo-tanks here this game.
I just want to touch on something that the collective, I mean, they've raised some concerns over it a couple of times, and I just really want to bring it home right now. So Chovy, he's on the left-hand side of the map, and honestly, the way that he is right-clicking and left-clicking up to the top side of the map, it's just phenomenal.
Look at him just meet this minion wave at exactly the right time. Yeah.
Wow.
Just incredible that he's able to do this. Doesn't give away any damage.
None.
Also, he's going to get all of the attention of these Afreeca members. It's going to allow this Mountain Soul to go for free over to DragonX. And you might see Pyosik down here doing it, but that was all Chovy to lock that one down.
I mean, did you see anyone else at...
Just I'm trying to fiddle with it. I don't think I'm ever really going to nail it.
How about now? Is this a little bit better? No, I just sound like an Australian child.
Didn't work at all.
It's totally fine. It's
Do you
the
like
thought
this
that
voice?
counts.
It sounds okay, doesn't it?
That's what this
Having a little bit too much fun here.
I think the collective are really enjoying it. They think that it was much better that time around.
Yeah, personally,
I can fully commit as a.
How about this? Wait, it just sounds the same. I'm like a.
We need Kit Boga.
Yeah, have you seen The Emperor's New Groove?
No, what's that?
The Emperor's New Groove. It's the Disney movie. Dave Spade as
Dave Spade. I haven't heard that in forever. Since is it Tommy Boy, right? Dave Spade was in.
He was from Just Shoot Me, most famously, which was a sitcom well and truly back in the day. That's some boomer television for you guys.
Okay.
But the Yzma is a character in The Emperor's New Groove, and she gets turned into a little kitten, and her voice sounds
about like this.
Okay.
Although with a different accent. So I think I've nailed it.
All right, I think you nailed it too. I would definitely give you a 8 out of 10.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I would
appreciate
give Chovy a 10 out of 10, but
I know. Well, I mean, I can never get up to Chovy's level. He's just too good.
Yeah.
He is, in fact, just the player of the game of League of Legends.
Yes, he could have Doran's stat line right now. He'd still get Pog.
Oh, straight up, guaranteed.
Yeah, no doubt.
Look, I mean, Carrier, he's got a Shirelia's Revelry, which is fun. He's got his Zhonya's Hourglass. He has highest kill contribution in the game. He's been playing exceptionally well this entire series. He has the highest kill bounty, but he's not going to get player of the game. No.
Not on our watch.
He's got none. This is just terrible.
Well,
can't believe it.
2.5 minutes until the Mountain Dragon is going to come up. That will be Soul Point. Has Sterak's Gauge being built here for the Aatrox as well. Edge of Night, Yumu's Umbral Glaive, and Lord Dominic's for Def. So he could continue down this route with the Lethality. If he does so please, he'll end up selling that Corrupting Potion and then going into the Duskblade of Drakthar if he does value that. Alternatively, at this point he has so much Lethality and they're going to be so far ahead in the team fights anyway, I think it's worth just getting Guardian Angel. Because you have the amplified 18% to your armor. You're going to be level 18 soon. You pick up the armor from GA. You have the active. Makes it really obnoxious to try to bring you down. And what I would really like to actually see here is Guardian Angel just picked up next on the Aatrox as well as the Olaf to just better make use of the mountain and just the amped resistances DRX is finally complete here for Chovy, and they are just taking it slow and steady. They're basically bringing it to a point where gravity will take over, and they will just A-move through the opponents with their
They're on
wands.
theme. They're on theme with the Mountain Soul.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. And because of that, we're going to enter into another little bit of a lull state. And we've had a lot of requests from the collective for the robot voice, and I'm going to see whether I can make that one work right now. Is this the robot voice that you were looking for?
That was...
Whoa. I did
yeah,
not need to put on that much reverb at the same time. That was a little bit of a yikes there, as I've got word from my producer that I'm not allowed to do that anymore. So that's enough fun for you guys. I hope that was a little bit too loud, I think. It was actually, I got fold back in my ear and it was too loud for me. So that's it's not so good. Anyway, I'm gonna stop that now. Let's focus on the game, as it's 9,000 gold in the lead, and DragonX just waiting 40 seconds before they have this game well and truly in the bag.
Yeah. And I can't imagine a world where Afreeca should be able to contest it and then somehow find a victory, because normally at this stage of the game, gold advantages start to become less meaningful depending on what the team compositions are. But the issue is that, okay, well...
This could just be a final team fight here, as Pioshik very big on the front line, as there's the Ornn Horn. It's going to get thrown out against the Ornn himself, as Mystic in trouble, but Chovy actually jumping right into the middle of the team. He's going down very low, but he has the World Ender. He's going to be absolutely fine. In fact, back to full health as everything is said and done, and now Pioshik flashing after Spirit. Doran's going to land the Abscond. It's a double kill there for Doran. And now All In trying to get over this wall, but the Umbral Dash is going to be there, and Chovy does not care at all. He is going to be able to walk over, taxi these minions in, and it's only Keen left alive to try and defend this Nexus.
Yeah, and there's no way that this Ornn is going to be able to do anything here. He's not even going to be able to clear all the minions. He's going to get brought down as the Nexus turrets do fall. Pioshik is the one that gets the kill, so Mountain Soul not even going to be necessary here in this game.
Nope, and the Nexus is going to fall down. So 2-1 victory over to DRX. As that was all Chovy in that last team fight. What an incredible performance. And I'm not actually being sarcastic. He was impossible to move and able to land multi-man knockups with his Qs. Very, very clean stuff out of him. And it was a slow and steady game, but honestly, it felt like it was over almost before the same time in game number one. Because Afreeca just didn't look like they had any options back into that game. So really nicely done there by DRX and Chovy. And just a clean performance, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I mean, they had a very similar performance to the game number one. Not quite the pub stomp, but it definitely was more methodical of a victory that ended up transpiring.
Yeah.
And
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, you go.
Hey, not take it away.
All right, I was just going to say that our POG votes have been very indicative of us holding hands on the broadcast, as everyone can see by our pictures.
Yep.
We have been in sync so far, as I'm hoping that the rest of the LCK broadcast are also in sync with our POG votes this time around. So honestly, I didn't really have too much to say, to be honest, dude. Take it away.
Thank you so much for that, Atlas. As you know, speaking of NSYNC, I believe the Backstreet Boys just did a video from quarantine, right? Where they sung...
Did they really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah,
although they're not NSYNC, you know, that's Justin Timberlake. That's different.
Yeah, that's a different band. They were rivals.
They were, back in the boy band times.
Right.
As we have a look at All In being delivered these double buffs, but it ultimately did not matter whatsoever. As Carrier with a great stopwatch timing, and there were just too many stopwatches on Afreeca for this particular dive.
And this was, meanwhile, the Herald being captured by the Olaf. This was Doran's late teleport, actually, down to the bottom lane. So Keen tried as he might in this series, but yet again, not going to end up being enough. And DRX, they walk away victorious. Carrier, honestly, he had such good play in the early stages of this game, and really helping with the transition to the middle part of the game. Chovy did put on a bit of a lane kingdom, had a really good CS lead. A lot of that also in part to All In's roams, to the side lanes, trying to alleviate some of the pressure. Mystic having a very off game yet again, and this has happened a lot for him throughout the split. And now, right at the very end, when Keen is starting to sort of go back to being Keen and always winning laning phase, it just sometimes seems like Afreeca don't have anything that they can really do. And honestly, I don't know why they're showing this highlight. We need to cut this quick.
That was a bug. That was a bug.
Yeah, you know what? I think this is a replay from another game.
Yeah,
Not my
yeah.
Chovy.
No. That was a bug. It still was, you know, this was a good fight back for Afreeca, but regardless of what happened, I felt like the map control went so far away from them that they didn't really have any opportunity, right? I mean, outer turrets were all still standing for DRX this entire game. And then we get to this last team fight, and Chovy is in a point where he's honestly immovable. Look at this. In amongst 4 people, gets knocked up by a heroic entrance, and just gets hit by everything and doesn't care.
And this was a massive Aatrox knockup. All he needed was one reset. Dep's just having free deal. I mean, he's a lethality Varus. He's melee range, he's auto-attacking, and just getting lots of value. Pioshek follows in there. Doran manages to pick up the kill onto the Jarvan, and there's not much that the Galio can do to get away from the Aatrox, who had just landed the Flash Q.
Yeah, as we're going to check out his play once again from Chovy's perspective, the player of the game himself. As he's just waiting for his chance to get in amongst all 5 members of the enemy team.
Saying that they got MF and just push mid line.
라인 지키고 나 오른 막을게 내가. 너네 오른쪽에 위푸시했을 건다 여기. 미드하자.
Actually pretty flawless play, to be honest.
He said, it's all right. It's all okay.
심장
Calm down? Unless I misunderstood that word.
아다리 레전드긴 했어. 네, 높아.
And it was Chovy that was tanking up this turret. I didn't know because he wasn't taking any damage. As I think it was Chovy and Pioshek, they took a turret each, but didn't really look like they had any turret damage at all. As Worldender comes out yet again, and Chovy just helps finish off this Nexus. Pretty comfortable performance here as we have a look at the damage done. Of course, Lethality Varus getting a lot of work this game. And also 20k done by the Aatrox just shows that DRX certainly were playing around this mid Aatrox a lot. And you saw previously in the stats, it was that Chovy's played 2 games of Aatrox so far this season. That's because he played them on the top side of the map in a few of the early games for DRX because Doran was not yet with the team. So that's why those stats were there. I believe this was his first mid Aatrox of the season.
Yeah. Well, had a pretty good performance on it. We'll see who ends up getting player of the game.
Oh, wait, I tell a lie. He'd actually played one in mid lane prior. He played 1 top, 1 mid.
Oh, when he was Pokemon Trainer Red.
I believe so. Yeah. Well, when he was Pokemon Trainer Red, he did play 1 game. The other 2 were of Quinn and Set. But then played 1 in the mid lane at some point and won that game with a 7 KDA. Not too bad.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed, Atlas. Okay, thank you for coming along with me on the ride on this one.
La Swinger, how did you do? Gold difference at the end, 5,000 gold. Not even impressed. 49 CS difference at 15 minutes. 15 minutes, guys. That's silly.
Well, did get the ball rolling in a lot of instances. Keria would have been my runner-up for this series.
Yeah,
I would even understand if he did just outright win. I think that would make a lot of sense. Chovy did come online in the mid to later stages. Keria very integral to the early and mid gap, or the early and mid bridge.
I think if the last team fight didn't happen, it would have gone to Keria. But Chovy played the last team fight very, very effectively and just showed the value of Aatrox to a level that we don't get to see all that often, honestly. It feels like a lot of the Aatrox pickups falling by the wayside, as Chovy certainly is not. 1,100 points and leading by 100 over Aiming and BDD. BDD with an opportunity to try and equalize in our next matchup. And it's going to be 7 out of 9. So a couple of carrier pickers. But otherwise, I'm feeling pretty confident in my my Chovy pick for this particular match.
Yeah.
And congratulations to him for moving out in front of those player of the game rankings.
Yep, and I think that with the remaining matches when it comes to player of the game, Aiming is right up there, but Aiming's next match and last match is actually against Genji. So that's going to be really hard to get player of the game, whereas DRX, they have APK. We're going to go to a winner's interview.
Yeah, so here's Jason with the translation.
Congratulations on the win. So Carrier, how do you feel about today's win?
일단 경기 이겨서 좋고
I'm happy that we won
연승 중이라서 좋습니다.
and happy that we are on a win streak. What about you, Chovy?
경기 이겨서 저도
Yeah, same.
똑같이 기분 좋은 것 같습니다.
I'm happy that we won.
캐리어는 지금 3게임 연속 POG.
Carrier, you won POG for 3 games in a row, and you have the most points on the support role with 800 points. You were so close to closing out the gap between Chovy at the same time. How do you feel about this?
일단 잘한다는 느낌
Well,
받아서 좋고.
I'm happy that it
근데
makes me feel that I'm
팀이 다
good,
잘하고
but at the same time,
챔피언이
all of our
서폿이
players
좀
are doing really
좋은
well,
챔피언이 많이
and I got a
주어져서
really
그런
good
것 같아요.
support champion, so I was able to win POG. So speaking of champion picks, so you played Morgana, and it kind of requires some conditions to. It is not a champion that is easy to blind pick, but you did pull off a really outstanding performance on that champion. So what was the plan into picking that champion today?
모르가나는
Morgana is a
연습을 안 해도 어느
champion that I can play anytime, even when I didn't practice enough. I'm pretty confident
상대
at this
노틸러스가 어차피
champion.
미드는 못 쓸 것 같아서
And we thought that they won't be
모르가나
rotating
픽하고 잘
Nautilus
나왔던
to
것 같아요,
mid lane,
플레이.
so I just played Morgana as a counter champ into that pick.
아, 네. 아, 네?
So, was that because Morgana is easy? I mean, that's a really difficult champion, to be honest.
아, 모르가나는
Morgana is
옛날부터 좋은 챔피언이어서
was a
옛날에도
good
많이 하고
champion for a
수면도
long, long
올라져
time,
있어서
so I have a very
그런 것 같아요.
high proficiency, so I can play it anytime.
그렇군요. 특히 1경기에서
So in game number 1,
so
there's some zone on the rift we call the Mata zone, and you were also pulling up a similar roaming play as a support role. So some people even call it like you have a very similar play style to that of Mata.
기가 막힌 장면 아니에요? 마타전 무슨 뭐 거기서 왜 나와 그런 말 안 하거든요.
You were really coming out of the blue in that Mata zone. So how do you think about this comment?
일단 마타님이라는 건 좀 가차린 것
Well,
같고.
I mean, I'm not sure whether I deserve that praise. Calling me a Mata, it feels really nice.
좋습니다.
Yeah, I like it.
네, 뭐 그러면 끝나는 거죠. 네. 네. 그리고 1경기 아지로 바루스 모르가나가 모두는 유성을
And also in
들었다고
game
해요.
number
이렇게
1,
유성을
Azir,
모르는
Varus,
건
and
어떤
Morgana,
이유입니까?
all
뭐
3
라인에 보세요.
players
어떤
took
이유가 있을까요?
Comet.
이건
Was
처음에
that
한번 물어볼까요?
a laning phase
초비도
oriented
시작했으니까.
playstyle?
1경기 유성을 다수가 드는 건 어떤 의미입니까?
애니비아 상대로
Well, playing
쓸만한
into
룬이
Anivia,
유성밖에 없었던 것 같아서 들었는데
Comet was the
저
only
말고
rune that I could take.
바텀도 들었을 줄은
But I
몰랐어요.
didn't know that bot you also took Comet to laning phase.
내가 알아서 잘하려고 유성 들었다. 예. 미드와 바텀의 룬
I
선택은
guess
상관이 없다.
that was quite
역시 초비 선수다운. 네.
individual decision coming out each of the DRX players.
네. 글튼단만 뭐 지금
네, 그럼 3경기 때
In game number
어쨌든
3,
일방적으로 좀 많이 밀어붙이시다가
You guys are
한번
actually
갑자기
having
좀
a
분위기가 좀
huge
싸늘해졌던
lead.
순간도 있잖아요.
However,
이제 약간 실수가
at some
나오면서
point of the
상대
game,
어깨 쪽에서
Afreeca
그 판에
were
대해서
able to
어쨌든
turn the
어떤
game
식으로 계속해서
around
계획을 하고 계셨어요.
at the top side
마지막
inhibitor.
오버로드
So
침착하시게 또
how did the
이렇게
players
연결됐는데
deal with the situation at that point?
일단 제가 넘어가서
Well, I
오른이랑
dashed over.
자르반이 편하게 못 오게 하고
and
미를 압박시키려 했는데
I wanna just like block
이제
Ornn
제시
and
하나가
J4,
그 오른 W
but
평타에 맞아서 벽 넘다가
while
다시
I was
끌려갔어요.
stashing,
그래가지고
I was actually pulled back with
점사당한
Ornn's W
바람에
and
좀
auto. So I got just
만족이
like
됐어요.
focused on and I just
차시진
died.
않았나요? 혹시 뭐 상대가 뭐 치고 나와서 바로 가져가는 거 아니야? 뭐 이런
Weren't you a
생각은
bit
혹시 안 하셨는데
worried?
그
Like
상황에
Afreeca
대해서
could even
판단이
like convert
어떤지
that
좀
into a
궁금합니다.
Baron play.
벽 넘는 거 끊기고
네.
일단
After my dash
일찍으로
got cancelled,
위기를 느꼈고
I
그래서
instantly felt the
네,
danger is
아,
coming.
무조건 빠져야 되는 상황이었다고
So all the remaining
나왔어요.
players should just back.
솔직히 저희가 그 중계까지는 저희가
That was our call.
초비의 아트록스는 죽을 수가
Yeah,
없다 뭐 이런 소리 많이 했거든요.
before that point of
예,
the
근데
game,
위기를
all
느꼈으면
the
진짜
Korean
위기지.
casters were actually
이게 죽음을
saying that
예상하는
Chovi's
이겼으니까
Aatrox
그냥 뭐
is
당연히
immortal,
풀
and
빠지고
then
풀
right
빠지고
after
이
that
정도
you just
이겼으니까
fell down.
초비를 누가 죽이지 막 그랬거든요.
일단 병 넘는 게 끊기고
Well, after that dash got
그때부터
cancelled,
일단
over the
뭐든지
wall,
안 좋게 굴러갈 것 같아서
I
빨리 빠져야
felt like
된다
everything will
생각했는데
go into a wrong way.
안
So
움직이더라고요,
I thought
초비가.
that we should all just back,
힐을 많이
but my
맞았어요.
champion won't
상대한테
move
좀
at that
그
situation.
원한을 좀 많이 쌓였거든요. 그래서 1점차 먹은 것 같습니다. 초비 1100점으로
Chovi,
1등이에요.
1,100 POG
예.
points. You
하나
are
POG
leading the
관리하시는
POG
분이긴 합니다만
standings.
요 POG 단독 1위
So,
소감도 있을 것 같습니다.
How do you feel about the
느낌이?
being sole number one?
일단 많이 활약한 것 같아서
Well, I'm happy that
기분도
I
좋고.
performed well.
그만큼 많이 잘한 것 같아서 그냥 좋은 것 같아요.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it feels really nice
그리고
that
그
I did a great
이렇게
job.
기분 좋게 승리한 상황에서 이런 질문 드리기 조금 죄송스러운 면도 있는데요.
But I do want to also
이
ask you this
세트에서
question in
패배를
game
했잖아요.
number 2. You guys
패배하고 난 다음에 피드백이
fell
어떤
to
방향으로 가는지
Afreeca.
여쭤봐도
So what kind of
일단
feedback
도란의
did you guys
이렐리아가
have
분명히
after
이제
that
또
game?
커뮤니티에서
Especially
많은 얘기가
Irelia
나오고 있거든요.
from Doran was not
그런 부분들에서
having a
팀
good day.
내적인 피드백, 방향성 이런 것들은 어떤
What did the
방향으로 갔었는지
teams
좀 궁금합니다.
discuss
캐리어 선수가
about
답변해
discuss
주시겠어요?
the game number 2?
저는 진짜
와.
근데 진지한 건데
네.
기억이 잘 안 나요.
I'm really serious, but I don't remember it.
아 진짜 죄송합니다.
I'm sorry.
아니, 저희도 중계하고 난 다음에 기억이 잘 안 날 때
예.
있습니다. 예.
그럼 초비는요?
I mean, I feel you, Carrier. What about you, Chovi? Doran was suffering a lot on top lane. Do you remember that game?
갈려가 진짜 라인 버리고 갑자기
Well,
탑 뛰길래
I mean, Galio just like left the
저 같이
lane and
일단
ran to top
그
lane.
길만 막고 다시 라인
So I
밀어줘야
just wanted
되는데
to, I just had to block him
제가
and
안
keep
밀고
pushing the
같이 탑
lane,
보다가
but I was
라인
actually
스파이더에서
following
레벨
him,
차이가 나는
so
바람에
I had
그
to
갈리오가
lose so
턴을
many
잡고
XP,
올라간
so
환경이
I was
만들어진 것
behind
같아서
in XP, so Galio wasn't able to have the control.
본인의 반성이고 팀적으로는 어떤 얘기했었니까 팀적으로는
That was a very like humble self-reflection about game number 2, but how did the team DRX as a whole
약간 실수 있었는데 이런
talk about the game?
무슨 얘기가 나왔습니까? 기억나요?
Anything about the draft,
팀적으로.
gameplay, team play?
팀적으로는 이제 갈리오 탈익이 있어서
Well, as a team, we just said they had Galio and Tariq, so Irelia
가장
was
중요한
not
건
having an
저한테
easy comp to go into,
피드백했던 것 같아요.
and we had some important feedback about me as well.
우리 조합도 상대가 좀 잘 짜서 쉽지 않았다.
I
이런
guess,
얘기인 것
yeah,
같습니다.
Afreeca
자,
did
이제
manage to
남은 한 경기
get a
있습니다.
really nice comp in
APK와의
game number
경기를
2, and
누르고 있는데
you
마지막
guys
경기에서 다
will
이기고
be having
다른
your
경기
final
경우에
matchup, the
따라서
split
혹시
up
모르면
against
1위까지 올라갈 수
APK,
있습니다.
and
네,
still
끝으로
there are
박혜선
chances of
선수
you
한
making it
말씀씩
into the
끝으로
second
카운터
place.
부탁드릴게요. 먼저
How are you
캐릭터.
guys gonna prepare for it?
일단 남은 경기가 APK 남았는데
Yeah, our next opponent will be
팀이 요즘에
APK,
엄청 잘하는
and
것 같더라고요.
APK, they are doing a great job recently.
그 APK 형들 기세 안 밀리게
So,
저희도 연승
we will do our
중이니까
best
잘
to
준비해서
not to
마지막
fall to
경기
their
잘 마무리했으면
momentum, and we
좋겠습니다.
will just
알겠습니다. 자, 초비도 한
prepare really hard for the final series.
저 똑같이 APK가 지금
Yeah, same APK. They are doing
느끼고 있고
a great
이제
job.
좀
That's how I feel,
상대가
and
준비해오는 전략에
we
당하지
should
않게
be
잘
having
단단히
heads up
접근해야
to
될 것
some of the
같습니다.
strategy that they can possibly prepare in that series. So this will be the end of the interview with Carrier Chovi from DRX. We're going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jisun, for the interview translation. And also congratulations to Carrier and Chovy, especially Chovy, for his POG advantage that he now has over the two other players that he was tied with in BDD and aiming. DRX now claim second position. As you can see, one extra point over T1. And despite T1 having the head-to-head, game point score matters more. And therefore, DRX will be holding on to that spot, at least for now. And T1 do still have one game left to play up against Afreeca. If they can get a 2-0, they will get themselves ahead of DRX, but they will be praying that DRX at least drop a game to APK in the final match.
And so this is really interesting in that if somehow KT makes an upset, then things get really interesting because DRX can still clinch first place depending on a lot of different things. And how weird would it be if DRX is fighting to change the standings of the top 3 and the bottom 3 all at the same time with the final match of the season against APK?
It would be absolutely ridiculous. It is theoretically still possible. It will require KT to take down Gen G most likely. Although I believe if Genji win 2-0 in our next match, it's going to be very, very difficult for DRX to even get ahead. So we'll just have to see what happens as we move to our final match of the week and our final match of the night. Hamulite versus Genji up after a 30-minute break.